Okay, people, that handsome guy on the TV screen there lets you know that it's time for Block Party. I'm your host, Mike Wahle. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying, please subscribe, rate, and review to iTunes, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. If you want to watch the video version of this to see all the film breakdown, please check out our YouTube page, Process to Perform. Like, subscribe, rate, and review that. Hit me up, Mike Wahle68 on Twitter, Process to Perform on Instagram. Our show is always sponsored by Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of the $200,000 prize. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get into a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet Online. The game starts here, and there's a couple things that happened between the last show we did and this show. The number one most important thing being Robert Saleh. I think I broke it on the show, but of course I don't really break anything because this is delayed. But Robert Saleh got fired, and it's coming out that what a world we live in. The New York Jets have been a symbol of dysfunction for as long as we can remember. But what a world we live in that, Nathaniel Hackett in 3 years, I forgot the statistics, but, has scored tied for the fewest points or the second fewest points. And, has all these incredibly bad statistics as it pertains to offensive production or his ability to bring a group together as a play caller or a leader of the offense. And then obviously with the Broncos as a leader of the team. So Robert Saleh was apparently they decided on the plane, the buck stops here. We need to do something. We can't fire him because he's Aaron Rodgers' guy, which in itself is completely believable, but also, again, what world are we living in? Because meritocracy and production should matter a little bit here in this sport, but as we know, a lot of it is based heavily on relationships. And so they were going to give the play calling over to somebody else, and apparently a phone call was made. And as the phone calls were made to distribute that information, because the head coach as bizarre as this sounds, maybe guys, fans don't know this, but the head coach can't really make that decision. Like, he can make that decision that that's something he wants to do, but you have to pass it through, obviously, ownership. I'm sure you have to go through Joe Douglas as well, the general manager, ownership. And then somewhere in that level of hierarchy was Aaron Rodgers. And apparently, according to sources that are on the inside, again, none of these people I know, I'm hearing it second or third hand. Apparently that phone call was made. There was some dissatisfaction about that decision, and literally 5 minutes later he was fired, and he was escorted out of the building by security, which in itself is not a big deal, but not a good look either for Robert Saleh or obviously the New York Jets. The only thing that before we get into the show, the only thing you have to laugh at how comical, the National Football League is so good they've created the world's best reality TV show. Sports are already the world's best reality TV series, but the Jets, whether it was Hard Knocks last year, and then obviously Aaron getting hurt, the whole drama of the Packers letting Aaron go and what that was going to look like, and Jordan Love not being ready, blah 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 blah. It's been him on the Pat McAfee show every week. It's just been a real treat, I think, for fans of the reality TV show that is the National Football League, to be able to kind of sink their teeth into the Jets, and the Jets are doubling down right now, man. It's absolutely unbelievable. It'll be interesting to see what happens, and they're playing for first place this week. So, that said, let's get into this Packers matchup with the Arizona Cardinals. Packers enter this game a 5-point favorite, and the Cardinals are 2-3. The Cardinals have always been an interesting team, and they're in the same way the Jets. They go through a lot of head coaches, unlike the Steelers, unlike the Patriots, unlike the Packers. These coaches last for a long time. We were talking about it yesterday. I was talking about it with a friend. Mike was there for, I want to say, 8 or 9 years. Sherman was there from 2000 to 2008. I think McCarthy had the place for 12 or 14 years. And then, Matt's looking like he's going to be here over the long term. So the stability in the organization breeds the stability in that head coaching position. So Jonathan Gannon's now the head coach in Arizona Cardinals. I was going to type in, Jonathan Gannon weird responses, because I think there's a whole like dedicated page to all the weird kind of stuff he does when he first met his players. But he has Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray, for all of the contract stipulations written into his last deal, and all the things that are said about him, and all the kind of the body language issues, and all of that stuff. Like, the dude is incredibly talented. He wins at every level. He was, I think he's got the Texas State record for wins. He won the Heisman Trophy in college. I mean, he's just a absolute, really in a different package, a generational talent. But the Cardinals aren't a team, that have like a lot of big name guys. Obviously, on defense, they still have Budda Baker, but as you watch this Cards D, they don't have a lot of they don't have a game plan. Maybe if Buda's a game plan guy, then that would be it. They don't have game plan guys. They have Chris Barnes on their team. I love Chris Barnes. They have some good players, but they don't have game plan guys. And for that reason, I think they're 27th in the league in points. They're 28th in the league, giving up 148 yards on the ground. Like, this is a team, again, just like last week, really, that the Packers should feel pretty confident in, as far as being able to move the football, being able to score points. Now, the difference is, it's like the Niners. You watch that game, and they're up and down the field, but how many times do they convert in the red zone? So you have to make those drives count. You have to finish all this stuff, because Kyler Murray is one of those guys. If he's hot and he's running the football and all of that's going on, like, you have a hard time outscoring that team. If he's not, this could be a walk in the park. Defensively, they like to play single safety man. They like to play man match coverage. They start with a base 5-man front. You can call it 3-4, blah blah blah. They have guys in there that are meant to stop the run. There's a lot of pre-snap movement in the secondary. They're trying to give multiple looks, but they like to hang their hat on, especially when you go into 12, 13, 21 personnel. They love to go to single safety. It's a much easier read for the quarterback. It's a much easier read for the offensive line. And because they don't have really good pass rushers, you can spend a lot of time in under center play action and shotgun play action, and in some of these deeper route combinations, because when you get into man coverage, you might need some more time to run across the field. You might need some more time to get to like 15-yard routes before you make your break, because you have to turn the hips of that corner, and that single safety look. So you're going to need more time, but there's more time allotted just because of the nature of their defense. They don't really have guys that you're looking going, okay, where's that pass rush really coming from if they're not bringing pressure? Again, Buda's still back there. He's a phenomenal talent. He's been great since I was with him in Bellevue High School. He's one of the best in the business. They picked 2 passes off of Brock Purdy last week, but on the positive side for the Packers, the Niners ran for almost 160 yards, right? They averaged over 6 yards a carry, and they don't even have Christian McCaffrey. And I know that the Niners offensive line and George Kittle and Juszczyk and all those guys are special. The way their receivers block are special. But when you watch this game, if you can take care of the edges, and if you can move those 3-4 defensive ends, man, you have a lot of action going on in the secondary, because if wide receivers block like our Packer wide receivers block, there's just holes abound, and there's opportunities to get moving. Again, I said they were 27th in the league, giving up almost 26 points a game, and then I think for the season they're giving up about 150 yards on the ground. So they are susceptible to gap schemes. Now, the defensive ends, the outside linebackers, however you want to look at them, do a good job of crashing down, so they are a problem. They are susceptible to the outside zone looks if you can capture that defensive end, whether that's with lead blockers, whether that's running slips between your guard and your tackle. Getting to the second level guys is something that the Niners did really well, and if we can mimic that either with our wide receivers or our tight ends, if we can do that at the second level, you're going to have a lot of success. And again, we talked about it, man beaters all over the board here. When you're talking about your crossers, your deep crossers, some of the pick stuff with the shallow cross action, there are just a lot of stuff the deep middle routes. There is a lot of stuff that is open, but you have to have time to develop, because when you're playing that man and you want to create some kind of pressure with a 5-man rush, like, one of those guys has to win. The play action pass, just like last week that you saw really from Stafford with the under center, the play action pass works really well against this Cardinals defense. Brock Purdy had time had opportunities to throw. Obviously that they fell short last week, but uh, when you watch the game and you're just looking for your keys, like does the quarterback have time? Are there guys getting open? Like, and whether or not you make the completions or not is a completely different story. I think that the biggest thing you're going to look at when you watch this team is I think they play extremely hard. I think the linebackers do a pretty good job in the run and pass game. They will try to mask pressures, but when you put these guys in motion, like the tiger can't change its stripes, they do not do a all of a sudden kind of the mask goes off and the safeties have to get to their positions to cover up the guys that are coming off the slot. They don't bump down. They don't if they run man coverage, they're going to switch. Like you can really figure some things out quickly by just putting people in motion. The Niners did it last week. I expect the Packers to do the same. Linebackers again play hard. They give quarterbacks different pressures and looks. I think they did a really good job of when they flush the pocket, which as far as the rush playing goes, Jordan Love. I don't know what the rush plan for Jordan Love is. Are they trying to make him roll out to the left, trying to make him roll out to the right? Are they trying to wall one side off? But I thought they did a really good job at the linebacker position of if they're bringing two or three extra guys, like one of those guys is going to peel off and become not a spy necessarily, but he's going to break off. And if he's the third guy, when they break out of the pocket, he's going after it. All right, so let's watch a little bit of tape of these guys. Start down in the red zone. We got a 2x2. I just respect the play style here. So Buddha comes over late to cover up the slot. So we're going to bring the slot receiver. And they're really bringing the house. I mean, you're going zero down here. They got everybody covered. And then again, I think this is Chris Barnes, 51, making plays, back old green and gold. Miss him. I thought he was a great player for us. But you see he peels off late, gets to the quarterback. And if you're bringing pressure, and of course, condensed in the red zone, this is just something to think about. But when you're condensed in the red zone in particular, like when you're trying to convert these, field goal attempts into touchdowns, the condensed space, you can play a little bit more man. You can bring a little bit more pressure because the spots aren't as, there's nowhere to run. You can only run about 20, 25 yards. So the route combinations are different. The options are the play sheet is smaller. And so I think they do a pretty good job down here of trying to, hold these guys to field goals. So we go for a long, you see that 5-man look. Now they got the first round pick from I think 2021 out there, number 25. You see Kittle and Trent Williams are going to crash down on this. We'll call this a 4-eye. They're going to down block. I think they know. I think they've kind of read their mail. Talk about the Niners reading the Cardinals' mail a little bit as they're going to step two. They down block. They do a good job securing, but the pulling guard doesn't do a good job securing the outside linebacker. You got to win on the edge versus this team. If you can move those defensive ends and outside linebackers, you're going to have plays. If not, they can make plays in the backfield. You see here, they're going to these guys always are running off of Trent and George Kittle, as you would expect. Look at, I put violent intent here. And of course, 71s, you're used to seeing that. And I don't want to turn this into San Francisco 49ers tape, but watch what George Kittle does here. When you start thinking about where's Tucker Kraft headed, what do you want to see out of Tucker Kraft? What do you want to see out of the entire tight end room? Like, I think this guy is the gold standard. And you see the violent intent that Kittle has right here, knocking that guy just flat on his backside. And sometimes, when you're supposed to rise up and get to that second guy, like sometimes it's more important to just bury that first level defender, because that secondary guy, particularly when you're talking about wide receiver blocking a corner, moving up to the corner, like it's much more important to bury that first guy at the line of scrimmage. And if that corner 10 yards downfield tries to get on the play, that's fine. They do a good job of pinning the linebackers here. Like, I think when you get to the second level, I think if you can get past that defensive end to the second level, you're just in good shape. The linebackers can make plays. The backside guy ends up making a lot of plays in this tape because the front side guy gets blocked, but that's more of a consequence of those defensive ends getting moved. I absolutely love this play. This is a play the Green Bay Packers, if they're not running the exact thing, they should put it in soon. So they've got use check, and you can put two tight ends in here. They put them in motion, and they are essentially running out of pistol. They're going to bring the running back straight downhill, but out of pistol here, usually you're looking like an inside zone, like a middle zone run to the offense is right or left as we watch. And so they're going to run like a zone scheme, and they're going to pull the backside fullback and the backside tight end to kick out and then wrap around on this backside B. So the Niners, their line coach, they do something a little bit different than some other teams. They run all of their backsides, like all of their doubles on the backside look like, or play side or backside, and start looking the same. So they all make them look like backside B because they want to get that defensive tackle to run, and then it makes it easier to push them over the top if it's in fact the play side, and then get up to that second level. So everything's a little bit easier with Trent Williams, obviously, but they bring around Juszczyk, and then they bring around Kittle. He secures that secondary block. They pop out, and they're on to the safety. Now this is I put this as a creative coverage. They're really just going to man here, and they've got multiple safeties in the game. They got 4 guys standing up on the line of scrimmage. So they have 5 at the line of scrimmage, but 4 of them are standing up. Now they put their man in motion. Slot defender trails over, but they're actually in man in the backfield of the red cone and the running back. So as he exits to the other side, they got to stay in man, and they're actually dropping back the near side safety and what was the strength safety back into the robber position and manning up everywhere else. But at the snap, this is kind of a bastard looking thing. And what we were talking about before, regardless if you're in shotgun, under center, they have all these guys standing up, but there's not a hell of a lot of pass rush. And this is a very clean pocket. And that gives you the opportunity to run this 15-yard route down at the bottom of the screen and create 3 yards of separation. Because even really good corners in the National Football League aren't gloving you up past 15 yards. Like at some point, you got to turn your hips and run. Again, 5-man line. Second level blocking here is critical. You got 2 down blocks. You got Kittle going all the way to 7. And then the outside receiver is going to come down as they kick out the defensive end. He's going to hit 42, the safety. And you just see, we talked about this last week when they had the big play. Kyron Williams had the big play in the Rams because Stokes was following our guy in on the crack. That is a real issue for all defenses, really, that are playing any kind of man-match coverage on the outside. That corner's eyes, it's so difficult to get off of the receiver because if I give up the shallow cross or the deep cross for 30 yards, I just got beat. So secondarily, I'm thinking about the run game. Eyes are late here on the corner. They go outside and they get a big play out of it. And when you're running against teams that are playing a lot of single safety, this is the kind of stuff you want to run, especially with the utilization of your wide receivers in the blocking scheme in the box, because there's a good chance that those corners are going to follow you in. That's when you start constructing plays. You think about, should I motion, should I not motion? And I think we'll show another play here very, very shortly. If you don't motion, that corner is going to be closer to the line of scrimmage. He's more apt to follow you from a closer distance. So the time that he has to react to that running back is much shorter, right? And if you flip that and you go in motion, and we'll show it in a second, he has more time, right? But that can also help us as well as if we're pulling a blocker around or something like that, or we're trying to run outside. Again, we talked about the lack of pass rush here, so I just show you the route combinations out of an under center play action look. And really, I highlighted this play because the right tackle, if you're playing against a stud, like that's a TJ Watt or, Von Miller or somebody like that, and you're having to run out and try to show run, and the guy's 3-4 yards wide, you should absolutely be just crapping your pants. Like this is like the worst thing they ask you to do all week. There's so many ways that you can get beat. Short corner, inside move, bat your hands down. Like there's so many bad things that can happen here. But obviously the 49ers are, they're averaging 6 yards a carry in this game. That's one. And two, the Cardinals really just don't have a bona fide pass rusher. And this guy gets absolutely gloved up in an under center play action pass. And and Purdy's got all day to throw to space. And again, if you're going man coverage with single safety, it is almost impossible against an NFL, talented wide receiver to keep up with him across the entire field when you're running crossers, man. It's just a tough ask. So now we show it. Okay, so we go in motion, and this is the old ghost motion that we used to run, 94 Ghost. But you see the corner here backs up and now he's soft. So take a look at the angles now. We have a 6 technique on the tight end. You have a down block by the tackle. You've got the guard in the center. This is as easy as it comes, right? As far as angles blocking, you can't ask for a better situation. Your guard can help secure the edge. It's a 6 technique. And your center is kicking out on a guy who just went back and softened because of the motion. Like, the hardest block is obviously by that guard. If that guard can take that nose tackle, this is out the gate. And so that's something when the Packers are watching these teams, I kind of start thinking a couple things. Let's get our tight ends in the game. Let's commit them to single safety high. Maybe for no other reason than we want to know where Budda Baker is. If there's one guy on that field where you got to know where he is all the time, let's know where Budda is. I don't feel like they have a very good pass rush. They are ranked in the bottom 6 or 7 in rushing yards per game. So they're going to be very aware of the fact that the Packers are ranked either first or second in yards per game, and all the different ways we get our different guys, our various talented players to football. And so those safeties are probably going to be, linebackers are probably prone to walking up. They don't have a guy that we have to necessarily worry about from a pass rush standpoint. If we go under center play action pass, we can sell it. If we go shotgun play action, if we go pistol play action, all of these things that allow our receivers more time to run these deeper routes and separate from these corners that are going to play a lot of man-match safety, especially against single safety high. It just feels when you watch this tape that the Arizona Cardinals are playing a defense they don't necessarily have the personnel for. You see it here again. There's just all kinds of time, and it's a perfect pocket. And he's, Purdy's a really good player and he throws on time, but like a lot of this stuff you're kind of looking and going like, man, oh man, look at the secondary blocking, by the way. So that's their defense. I think it's a similar challenge as you saw last week, in that they're going to run a 5-man front, and there's certainly ways to defeat that. I don't think this front is as stout, quite frankly, as it was last week against the LA Rams. I don't think they have. I think the LA Rams are far more talented. When you talk about their first-round draft picks over the last 2 years, you talk about Kobe 91 in the middle is a good player. I just don't see those caliber guys on this team. But we got to go out there and play. Certainly, it'll be interesting to see what the game plan is, though. Just knowing what they've shown historically, how they react to certain motions, how they react to certain personnel groupings, and the amount of time you have to throw if you're running play action stuff. So flipping over to this is where the Cardinals kind of, bread is really buttered the offense, and they have an offensive head coach. They drafted Kyle Murray first a couple of years ago. If you guys remember, one of the weirdest things, I think I'm right. The UCLA kid was drafted in the first round. I forgot his name now, but one of the more unlikable kids, quarterbacks to enter the league in a couple of years. And then literally the next year they drafted Kyle Murray 1. So Kyle Murray last week, he's kind of a perfect example of what you're getting. So he throws for just under 200 yards. Not like a spectacular day by any means. He has got 83 on the ground. He's got like the second play of the game. He's got a 50-yard keeper on an option read, and we'll show it. And he's literally, it looks like he's playing the fast forward. Like he's as elusive a quarterback as you're ever going to see. Like his quickness rating on Madden's got to be, I don't know, 100. and he's in a different package than everybody else. Like, he is smaller, his feet are moving faster, he has leverage, he's difficult to. I've never seen him take a clean hit. He's got a very strong arm. He does have a windup. I think he does a good job in the pocket, but and he's probably more dangerous when he gets outside of the pocket and he's moving forward. But there are opportunities along the way where if he's moving backwards, he will still throw the ball. If he's running sideways, he will try to throw it across the field. Like, he will do some stuff still that gives a defense an opportunity. How do you contain him so that he's running backwards or lateral and releasing the ball and not forwards, breaking the line of scrimmage or staying in the pocket? Because he's pretty accurate from the pocket and he's really dangerous when he gets outside the pocket. But when he's in that kind of no man's land where he has to run towards the sideline or he has to run backwards, he's evading pressure, and I'll show one on tape. Even he has the arm talent to make some of this stuff work, but it's exactly what you're going for, I think, if you're the Packers. So you're thinking about, how do I build a wall and not run over the top, which is something the Green Bay Packers we've talked about for a long time now with our defensive ends. Not running over the top of this guy, not letting him exit to the sides. How do we create pressure in the middle and then collapse the pocket so he has to go backwards and around and then be able to peel off, whether it's a linebacker, whether it's one of the defensive tackles? How do we keep him on his side of the line of scrimmage while moving laterally? I really think that's kind of the key to that part of the game with the Green Bay Packers. James Conner, the running back, is a really good compliment. He's a really good running back. He's a good compliment for Murray in the backfield. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. is there. He had the slow start, but I think the next game he had 2 touchdowns. He's already had a sizable impact on the passing game. He's a guy that you might have to think about. We need to pay some extra attention to. The Cardinals do score points. They're 24 points a game, ranked for 12th in the league, and it's deceptive because a large part of it's because of Murray, but they average 156 yards per game on the ground. And I think that's good for 4th. When you watch their offensive line, I don't think anybody on the planet's going to watch their offensive line going, I'm going to pick those guys for being my top guys. But they have a scheme that fits what they can do okay. And because of that constant run threat, the way they move Murray around, because he'll stay in shotgun, he'll go to pistol, he'll go to offset. And every single time, if you don't account for him, kind of a couple of times, quite frankly, the Niners just don't account for him. When you don't account for him, he makes you pay. So really, really talented guy. And it goes back to, you feel like most teams now aren't really running their quarterbacks like they're starting. As we talked about when Malik Willis was in the game. We wouldn't run the same offense with Jordan as we would with Malik because Jordan's our starter that you pay $50 million to, and Malik's not. Kyler Murray is one of the few guys, and even Lamar Jackson. I mean, I think Lamar, there look like there's more designed runs for Kyler Murray here than maybe even you see with the Ravens game. That's probably wrong, but there's very few guys out there where you just feel like, hey man, pass in the pocket or run. Like, we got a real weapon here and we're going to use it. And that's what the Cardinals are trying to do. So we pop on the table. I showed that first play. This is kind of just the old school kick with a twist. So they are in 13 personnel, and they're going to kick down with those 2 tight ends on the top of the screen. So they got a tight end attached and then a wing tight end. They're going to bring their 3rd tight end around to block the corner, and Hwanga's up there just probably reading Connor, and he bites on the running back dive, and Murray's out the gate. And Murray knows this play is over right now. He sticks his hand out now. It's like, good Lord, 50 yards, nobody can touch him. I don't know what he runs. I don't know what he ran in the combine. I don't know if he even ran, but like, he's like ludicrous speed, man. He's like watching Spaceballs. Okay, watch 87. He's a rookie. His name's like Trip or Tips or something, but great play here. So he looks like he's going to block Bosa. Like, he's in a stance to block Bosa. But Bosa knows he has the dive on this look. So he just throws Bosa inside and gets up on the linebacker. This is a really good job by him. 1, 2. Not that it maybe matters in the context of the play. I just like the way they thought about that. Like, sometimes you got to, scheme up. So, hey, you got to take 2 here, and this is how we're going to do it because they know one of these guys has the read. Devondre Campbell there, by the way. Let's back that up. Let's see if Devondre almost made a play here. Let's see what he does. Nope, he got stuck to by tight end. That's tough sled. All right, here we go. More under center play action pass. These guys run it a ton because they wanted to stick in 12, 21, 13 personnel and give their guys opportunities to run away from the Niners defense. So they run the go route up top. We got two guys on Bosa, and now they're just running the crosser. Everybody's running this play. And, I just don't know how you keep up with that play in single safety. Familiar face here, said Devondre Campbell. So they do a really cool thing here. So they have the attached tight end and the wing tight end, and they fold block this. So they block out with the attached tight end on the defensive end, and they fold underneath with the wing tight end, and it really screws up Devondre for one, trying to figure out where he's supposed to go. Obviously, you got all the run action stuff as well. But now all these guys those guys just ran into each other twice. It's like, who's on first? Wide open play. This is early in the game. Good way to get 13. And they bootlegged him out that time instead of kind of just doing a straight drop back. They bootleg him out the backside because when they block that defensive end on that side, it slows him down. So at least Kyler can turn around and see him. He doesn't care if he's in his face because he can get his hips all the way around. He just needs to be able to see him. He can't be blind and getting hit as soon as he turns around. So we go 2x2, shotgun, and they motioned out to make sure they were man up top. As soon as they realized they were man, they're just going to run the slant with the wheel up top here. They got a single safety look, and they know right now they've got a bunch of in cuts going in on the bottom of the screen, but they know right now that safety cannot get inside the numbers in that amount of time. Great back shoulder throw. He's got every throw in the book. Under center again, we got a tight bunch look here on the right. The Niners are showing a single safety. Fonga's down. I think he's going to be playing man on Connor. The safety for the Niners almost makes this play, but I just want to show you that the screen game is part of what they do. And certainly the way that we've been sending linebackers, particularly we send Quay, when you send them like that, you show the success that Williams and the Rams had, expect to see a lot more of it. So they're showing zone pressure. They've got two guys. How do I know they're showing zone? Because this cornerback out here, there's no way he's playing man coverage right there because he's already beat across the backside. So these guys are going to zone this off. They have, talking about the guy highlighted in the cone, they have the two linebackers walked up. One of them is going to drop. So you do a switch release here on the bottom of the screen. And he kind of throws up to Marvin Harrison Jr. and makes the play. This is what I'm talking about, though, as far as opportunities. Now, this play works out. But right now, he's going the wrong direction. But this is where the opportunities lie. He needs to be stepping up. If you're the quarterback coach, you're saying, hey, you should step up in this pocket. Don't make it harder on your left tackle. Make it easier. And then you're throwing this ball up for grabs. Granted, you're throwing it into space and you have arm strength, and that's a first-round draft pick against Marvin Harrison's kid, blah, 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 blah. Fair enough. But I'm just saying these kind of plays happen when you watch the Arizona Cardinals enough. And these are, if you're James McDaniel, you're looking at this going, okay, that's an opportunity for me to make a play. Now, with the option, they switch the back from far to near. He's in that position behind Murray where he's coming downhill. So he's probably part of the action here, right? In other words, if they're not running the ball, right, you'd be shocked just because of where he's at. Like there's no way for him to exit stage right from over the guard behind the quarterback. It doesn't make sense. So this is, if this isn't a play action, it's probably some sort of option read. So Bosa knows that. He's lined up to beat that center. But look at that center stance, or excuse me, that tight end. That tight end stance, like there's no way. There's just no way he's going to try to block Bosa right here. So they let him go. Easy read. And it's not Bosa's fault. He's got responsibilities. I'm just showing you how you have to start thinking like, okay, when they reset that back, we need to reset how we're thinking about this stuff because that tight end, there's no way he's trying to block me. And now, I mean, he doesn't really end up blocking me. He should have gone inside out, but Murray does a great job. He's, again, you just don't see him taking a lot of direct shots. And then this is, I think, what they're probably, if you're trying to actually, and you see the offset, and I'm talking about versus the last play with Connor, as far as being almost at the same level of Murray and then a step over to the right. Now, this means you can be more of a middle or outside zone. So you can read this as a linebacker and go, okay, I kind of know at least where they're trying to hit the hole. Now, whether they hand the ball off or not, that's a different question, but you know where the insert point's supposed to be based on where the alignment of the running back is. This is what they're better at. It's like the pin and pull stuff, trying to move their guard and their center around. Like they're not really good at just moving humans. They're fourth in the league, but again, a lot of it's just because of the danger at the quarterback position. But they are good at this. Connor is a good running back. So they go down, around, quick trap, get up on the second level. The safety really takes out the center, trying to go through his legs to get to Connor. And then obviously you got cleanup by your guy, Fred Warner. But, that was wrong button. That was a good win by that team. Like this team has the opportunity to come in and score points. You see the excitement level, the kind of that we've had about Hafley's defense, how hard they're playing, but playing against a quarterback that really makes it a true 11-on-11 matchup in the run game, or in the passing game. Playing against that, how are you going to combat the fact that Kyler Murray is a real threat on the ground? I think if I go back and look, I can say with some certainty that he was the leading rusher last week at 83 yards. I think he beat out Connor. I think that's true. But he's kind of the do everything. Everything starts and ends with him. So how do you account for that? Are you going to spy, or are you going to have a rush plan that involves not rushing one of your defensive tackles? If so, who's that going to be to be able to keep up with him? That doesn't make a ton of sense. Are you going to try to pressure him more and then just have guys peel off? From a defensive end standpoint, are we going to still be okay going over the top of this guy, or are we actually going to try to collapse the pocket and make him backpedal while he's running or while he's trying to throw the ball away? Because I think that is the recipe for success when you talk about him giving up the football. And then, I guess the other part is, how are you going to play that option game? Are you going to play? We just showed two different offsets and what those look like, and what the difficult parts about the backside read of that is. So how are we going to insert? How are we going to try to deal with that 2 or 3 tight end look? Like all of that stuff really plays into this, because you would expect, like you wouldn't expect, even with our secondary being a little bit banged up at the corner position, you wouldn't expect these guys to come out and say, hey, we're just going to spread out and try to throw the ball. You'd expect that, especially with the emergence of Evan Williams playing a lot more with Bullard, obviously with McKinley. So you have your 3 safety look with your big nickel. Okay, we want to play that with 12 personnel, 21 personnel, 13 personnel. Do you guys going to stay in that? Is that going to give us opportunities to run? Is that going to give us opportunities to exploit some of the size advantage we have in the passing game? Or does that give you guys more, as a defense, does that give the Packers more opportunities to kind of mask some different coverages and pressures? So that'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if we play a lot of single safety and they let Xavier play 15, 20 yards back like he likes to, like he did with the Giants last year. He's been doing this for the beginning of the season. And just kind of, if he throws balls up, let's just go get him. And remember, in order to do that, that second level coverage has to be sticky, right? It's got, if they're playing behind, it can only be a yard or 2 behind, because he's got to be able to throw the ball over the top in order for 29 to come out and make plays. So I think all of that is leads to why the experts have the game at 5 points. It's going to be a good game. It'll be interesting to watch. I think it's always a great atmosphere at Lambeau, and when guys like Murray, who from everything that you see, he certainly wants to be known as a or the premier quarterback in the National Football League. That's how he views himself. Coming to an historic place like Lambeau and putting on a show, that certainly goes a long way. So, going to be a fun one. You guys got any questions? I didn't have time to do listener questions today. I wanted to do a quick show. But if you have them, hit me at Michael68 on Twitter. I'll answer them as best I can. Follow the show. Please subscribe and review on our Process to Perform channel. We will be back next week with a recap of this game. Hopefully the Packers have some success. I did say Marcus Harrison Jr. is on my fantasy team. Auto draft, don't get mad at me. So 35-14 with 2 Harrison touchdowns would be just fine by me. You guys have a great afternoon. We'll talk to you soon.